Welcome to the MVP Show. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/269. Before we chat with today's guest, here's a quick message from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge. I read once that the best way to be successful is help other people become successful, which is why I provide this program for free. If you want to be mentored in the next 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, please go to my website, go to nz365guy.com/mentor and fill out the form and I will be in touch. Now let's get on with the show. Today's MVP is from Florida, USA. She's a Dynamics 365 CE pre-sales engineer and director. She's a first-time MVP. She was born and raised in the Netherlands. You can find her on a website at d365goddess.com or check her out on Twitter at d365goddess. Dian Taylor, welcome to the show.
Yes, I'm first going to correct you by mispronouncing my name.
Awesome. Tell me, what I did.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm from the Netherlands, so a lot of people see the way that my name is written, so they automatically go to Diane, but it's actually pronounced Dian.
Dion.
There you go. Yeah. Usually I tell people just, think about Celine Dion or something like that. It's probably the easiest way to do it. But yeah.
I like it. And it was interesting. In the pre-conversation we just had, knowing that you're from the Netherlands, I expected a very strong accent, but you don't seem to have one.
I can do a very strong accent that you can hear that I'm coming from the Netherlands. It's just, yeah, I really don't like the Dutch accent. So I really try to get rid of it. I think it helps to just really listen. And I think it also helps with what I do for a living, right? Just doing, the customer demos and talking to customers and listening back to the questions that you asked. If you could actually have the ability to record your meetings with your clients when you're doing some discovery, and then, basically trying to really get rid of that bad pronunciation, because I just cringe when I see it. My mom can tell you, I'm still giving her a hard time when she's here and she orders something. So for example, we order food and she goes yes, can I have a crepe cake? I'm like, yeah, sure, you can have a crappy cake. And she's like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? But
yeah. So how long have you lived in America?
I've been here now. I moved in early 2004, so that's 16 years now, and I'm still adjusting. It's such a different place than it is from Europe, especially the Netherlands. So yeah,
but how do you I've spent quite a bit of time in the Netherlands, and how do you find the European culture, if you like, to the American culture? They're quite different.
It's very different, and I think you also have to think or realize that I'm actually in Florida, which is a lot worse. So everybody in Florida is going to hate me now probably, but I mean, it's just the way it is. So I have been adjusting basically from the time that I arrived here. I remember my first job was actually in a mailroom of Office Depot. And, there was an elderly woman there, and she, when I talked to her about my friends, and I have gay friends, and I actually, used to date a gay guy. And then I actually, after we broke up, I actually hooked him up with the guy that he's married to today. And we're best friends. And, the three of us and the whole group is still friends. And she's like, you're going to burn in hell. And I was like, wait, what? Very different. Very, very different.
Yeah. That is so true. So do you ever go back home much?
Oh, yes. I try to go back once a year for 2 weeks. So whenever I do have job interviews, I tell these guys, listen, I can't just go for 1 week. It's just not long enough because, it's such a long trip. And they used to have the direct flights, Martinair. But then I remember my last flight that I did with them was actually their last flight doing Amsterdam, flying from Amsterdam back here to, I believe it was Miami. And I just got an email saying that, hey, your flight is going to end in Paris. And I was like, wait, what? I need to go back to Miami. So I do try to visit once a year.
Nice. I recently I've been building my own home, and after moving back to New Zealand, and one of the things I did was, in the way I designed my bathroom, is that the tiles in my bathroom, the ones I've chosen is to remind me of Amsterdam, because I've stayed in some beautiful hotels there that had these, lovely, very fine, small tiles on the floor. And I'm trying to build into my home all my different experiences from around the world. And that's my Amsterdam one. And of course,
I love that.
Yeah. The other one is I've got this T-shirt, which I just bought like at a street market there, which is it's like a dark blue, but 3 big red X's around it. And everybody takes a double take, when they see this T-shirt because it's associated with the adult entertainment industry.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny.
But a lot of people have no idea that it is actually the flag and the symbol of Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, that's right. Yeah, and most people don't. I mean, it's also always really funny when I get to talk to people and they ask, where are you from? Well, I'm from the Netherlands. Or a lot of times I say I'm from Holland. Oh, you're like from Mulholland? And I'm like, no, like the Netherlands. And then I make the little sound and a little, like I'm smoking something.
Yeah.
But because that usually it's like, oh, Amsterdam, right, the Netherlands. But it's kind of funny how a lot of people also, I had a million people come up to me and like, oh, so they have like everything, all drugs are legal, right? Hard drugs are legal, right? And I'm like, no, see, there's so many misconceptions.
Yeah, you need to go to Portugal for all drugs to be legal because they're all legal in Portugal.
True? Oh, yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah, definitely not in my country.
I don't know why I know that, but I know that. So yeah, here's the deal in Portugal. In Portugal, you're allowed to have any drug that you want, but you're not allowed to sell it or deal in drugs. But it's not a criminal offense to have any drugs on you for personal use. And so, and what it means is that because rather than making it a closed off topic in society and something that's legal, that's driven by a legal system, people can, if you, let's say, you got some cocaine or something and you wanted to make sure it was clean, like it hadn't been cut with something that it shouldn't have been, you can actually take it to the chemist, in the various cities, have it checked before you take it. So, and what it's done is taken, I think, a lot of the stigma away and made it easy for people to get help if they do have a drug problem. But I think it's I've researched a bit because a former Prime Minister of New Zealand is very much proposing a similar law for our country. Which, it won't happen. They're just trying to legalize marijuana at the moment. And that's just gone up to referendum at the moment, which we had elections 2 weeks ago. And I think we're about a week away from finding out if, over 50% of the country voted yes to that. And even then, if they have voted yes, then they have to put through the legislation around how it will be, governed and who can access it and things like that. So it is interesting, isn't it? But tell me about, and it's just something you'd said there, Holland. You don't often hear Amsterdam referred to as Holland. Was Holland like an old word, as in like what was the change or the point of change? Because, in the childhood books that I had about the little boy in the dike and things like that, it was always referred to as Holland. But where has that change happened where now it's just Amsterdam we refer the country?
Yeah, so Amsterdam is still the capital, right, of the Netherlands.
Not Amsterdam. Carry on.
Yeah, the actual country.
The Netherlands is what I was meaning rather than Amsterdam.
Okay. So we have a lot of provinces, obviously, and 2 of the provinces have the word Holland in it. So you have North Holland and you have South Holland. And that's kind of why a lot of countries started to refer to the Netherlands as Holland, because I think there was like a lot of business going on in those, too, because Rotterdam is there and then Amsterdam is there, and you know what I mean? So there was actually, I read, because I still every day I read the Dutch news and everything, because I don't really like the American news and I think it's too much sensationalism there. So I just go ahead and look at the videos and read the articles and stuff like that. And I saw a couple of months ago that they said that officially you cannot call the Netherlands Holland anymore. Like it was official. Nobody could do it anymore. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to shoot you? Yeah. So it was kind of weird to like read that, like, okay, really, guys? But that's kind of where it came from. Like we have, like I said, all of those provinces. And I think, like I said, those are really, two of the main provinces that kind of started that name a little bit. So they're still there, the provinces, obviously, but apparently we're not supposed to call in the country Holland anymore.
Okay, that makes sense to me. What I was surprised in going through the museums there is how much influence the Netherlands has outside and has through history outside the Netherlands for such a small country. Like a lot of funding to banks in America back in the founding times of America. One of the things I really enjoyed, and I don't know if this is still the case, but their idea of government is that government should exist, to develop a country and everything, but it shouldn't exist to interfere in people's lives where they didn't need it to be interfered with. Like, as long as you weren't messing with somebody else's business, it was none of my business to impose rules and stuff on you. And I really liked that as part of the identity of the Netherlands.
Yeah, I do really think that with a lot of things, they are, ahead. And I think it also has to do with like people letting people be who they want to be. And, and that was, I think we were the first country that actually allowed gay marriages, which I don't even know why it needs to be allowed. Because, everybody should be able to be who they are, you know what I mean? And there's still, I sometimes still run into people that, talk to me about, and even I had a conversation, this was a couple of years ago with a person, a Jewish guy actually, and he started talking to me like, what do you mean equal rights? They're like, they don't, they shouldn't have that. And I just, it was mind blowing to me. It I transcended back to like, I don't know, the 50s. Like I didn't live in that time frame, so I don't know even if that's accurate. And I even asked him like, don't you feel like, how can you say that? How can you tell anybody that they cannot have the same rights that you do? They're not hurting you. Like, I don't know. And like I said, I just think that's also, where I grew up. And I maybe I would think differently if I grew up here and if my parents were very strict and had rules like that and just hammered it into your head every day. You know what I mean? It's just, there's so many differences. Like if I talk to people, especially young people here, their lives really is about, and not just about, but it's a really big part, is about finding a partner and getting married and that type of stuff. And I was not raised that way. People don't really, especially when I was growing up in the 80s, it wasn't important. It's like, you need to make yourself happy. Nobody else is going to do that for you. If you don't have that happiness inside of you, that's never going to happen, right? The other person needs to be an add-on to that, right? To add on to who you are as a person and to your happiness. But then, like I said, I was never, like I said, I never had to dream about the big wedding. When my ex-husband and him and I are actually still really good friends. When him and I got married, he was like, well, what do you want for flowers? What do you want for this? I was like, I really don't care. Like, do whatever. Like, go outside and get some daisies, like, off the street. Like, it's just not. And it's just, again, a cultural difference, right? Maybe when I grew up here, I would have had a different opinion on that. I'm sure it is. But it really kind of shows you the big cultural differences between, countries, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I totally agree. I struggle with any kind of legal system that imposes or stops one having choice when there's no harm to anybody, So, and I know this will be controversial for some of our listeners, being that my audience is predominantly American, but anything, whether it's around, telling a woman what she can and can't do with her body around abortion, whether it's, who you can love and who you can't love, it's anything that, you tell me I can or can't do something because you think you have a moral authority to do it. It just, man, that gets my goat up like no tomorrow, right? As in, but man, there's a lot of, we've just, as I say, gone through elections and had an ultra conservative, party that they still believe that, women should be home, looking after the house. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, who would vote for you? Yet 20,000 people voted for that party. And I'm like, wow.
That's insane. That's crazy. Yeah. And especially like we're 2020, like even like I said, even when I lived in the Netherlands, a lot of my friends, the girls bought the houses, the places, and then the guy would just move in. And like I said, these guys don't have an issue with that because they grew up with that. You know what I mean? And it's very, the other thing that's very different, I feel as well, is for example, what you see here a lot, like the type of car that you drive. And if you have a bad car and you pull up to a Starbucks and people are sitting outside, everybody's going to be talking about, oh, what a bad car it is, and you must have a bad job and you probably don't make any money. In my country, it's like, oh, look, that guy's driving a car. That would be the only comments. You know what I mean? Again, I have not lived there in 16 years, coming up on 17. So it's been a while. And my friends and my mom keep telling me like, oh no, there's a lot of changes here, which is true, which is absolutely true. And now I'm kind of like in the middle where I feel like I've been gone so long and there's been so many changes that that's not 100% my home anymore. But then again, I don't feel that, even though I live here and I love it here and I have great friends here, I still feel like this is not 100% home either. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you can relate to that because you did a lot of traveling as well, right? But I agree with you.
I've got a friend that's from the Netherlands, and he owns probably one of the largest dive businesses in New Zealand, as in open water diving, and yeah, I love his favorite saying: "If it ain't Dutch, it ain't much."
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Now, which just in my mind, then it sparked another thing. So where does the term Dutch come from?
That's a really good question. I have no idea because the thing is that whenever you are in Europe and you talk to people and people are saying, something like, oh, they're Dutch, everybody goes to German and they're like, oh yeah, I'm from Berlin. Where are you from? And I'm like, yeah, that's German. That's Deutsch. That's not Dutch. But yeah, where exactly it comes from, I have no idea. I am actually going to look that up because I would like to know that, I guess.
Because, if you were talking about somebody from New Zealand, you'd say they're a New Zealander. But if you're talking about somebody from the Netherlands, you don't say they're Netherlanders.
Well, what's funny, though? Because in Dutch, we do say that. So the country in Dutch is called Nederlands. And then the person from that country is Nederlander. So it's just, and it's the same. You could also say, right, Holland or Hollander, Hollands of Hollander. So it's the same. It's just when you start using words like English that you get like all these wacko other words, like the Dutch, right?
Yeah, bloody English.
I know, it's so funny.
Confusing. So here we have blown about 20 minutes talking about countries and things. How did you tell me about how you got into technology and why you particularly settled on something like Dynamics?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually did not have a background in anything IT. I was actually when I was living in the Netherlands, I was a hairdresser and I worked in retail, and I came here and I kind of wanted to start over. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I mean, I've always been interested in doing something, IT related. I actually I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm probably giving away my age now, that back in the day you had like Yahoo GeoCities and you could set up like, so I was doing that. And I was like,
GeoCities site? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so interesting. And it wasn't very IT ish, but like, right, there were, if you were interested in that type of stuff, that's a lot of the stuff that you would do. So I moved here to this country, and then I worked at the Office Depot mailroom, and from there I had some HR jobs and some admin jobs, and then at some particular point in time, I actually had 2 job offers, one with an IT firm, a solution provider, and then another one was in advertising. So I actually got a higher offer from the advertising agency, but I was like, you know what, I really want to invest in my career and be able to find a path into IT. So what is a better place to do that than a firm like that? So I worked there for about 3 years. And after that, I actually went to, management to kind of talk about like, is there a way for me to do something else? Because I've done HR, the marketing girl left. I actually, started doing her job as well. I'm helping the help desk with stuff. I'm training people on the software, like all of that type of stuff. And I'm like, I want to do something in IT. And I actually talked to the COO, and he was very, very nice about it. He was like, you've been so great for the company. You've done, you work really hard. You do everything you need to do and then some. So yeah, absolutely. Let me know what you want to do, and then we'll just put a position together. And I honestly almost fell off my chair because that was not obviously what I expected. So about a couple of days, maybe a week later, I actually got a an invite from the CEO. He kind of heard about that I wanted to do something IT related. So he goes like, gets me to his office, and he was like, okay, so we're going to try to sell this thing called Dynamic CRM. This is what it is. And I'm like, I'm talking to the CEO. So I was like, oh my God. And he goes like, I'm going to send you to training. And then, do you want to start doing that? And I was like, I have no idea what it is, but I'm in. So that's kind of how I got started.
That's so cool. And I know the next pub quiz that's coming up, I'm putting in a question there, which MVP started out as a hairdresser?
Yeah, well, some people might know that now, though.
Oh, yeah.
Some people might know that now. But if you say which one started out in the Office Depot mailroom, probably people are not going to know that.
Yeah, there you go. So you've recently become an MVP. What was that journey, and what's been the impact of it for you?
Oh my God, the impact has been tremendous. Like I mean, there's so much that you get from, being that MVP. And I'm really talking about, right, the interactions that we're having with the product managers and being able to use the distribution list if you have an issue or if you have a question or something like that. The PGI meetings, being, basically getting educated before stuff comes out so you know what's coming. And especially being in pre-sales, that has been so valuable to me. Like, I don't even know anymore, like, how I can do my job without that support, basically. So the journey itself was, I basically started doing some of this stuff. And Rachel, who now works for Microsoft, Rachel Profit, was working for RSM as well. And she really helped me to get going as well. The thing was that I was always interested in writing articles. And I was kind of, because I've been doing pre-sales now for the past, I've almost been here at RSM now 5 years. And previous to that, I was running 2 CRM practices. So I was doing everything in regards to, pre-sales, to implementation, to customer training, to all of that. So now I'm just pre-sales, right? So I don't have the customer interactions anymore. I don't do the training with customers anymore. So I was kind of missing that. So I think that kind of helped me, starting to write the articles and starting to do the YouTube videos. I also, a lot of times, I have a lot of internal people turning to me because I am pre-sales and I'm the only pre-sales resource currently at RSM for the past 5 years. So that, hey, this new stuff, like, how does that work? Can you help me with this? So by me writing the articles, now what I do a lot of times, it's like, yeah, it's on my website. It's, go check out d365goddess.com. So I think that kind of, got it started. Honestly, because both Seth Bacon, who also, him and I actually became MVPs on the same day.
Oh, no, he's in Seattle, isn't he? He lives in Seattle.
He's in Seattle. Yeah, great guy. He's such a good guy. Really, really great guy. Very talented guy. And we were talking to each other. And obviously, I had a conversation with Eric, and I don't want to butcher his name. Sauve, I think is his last name. Great guy.
From Canada. Yep.
From Canada. Him and I talk a lot. We do video calls and stuff like that. And we just talk to each other, become really good friends. And he said it such a good way. He goes like, don't try to become an MVP, right? You either are an MVP or you're not. Just because you haven't gotten the award yet doesn't mean that you're an MVP. If you're just here to try to get an award, this is not going to work, right? It's really about sharing with the community, sharing your knowledge, the willingness to help others out whenever they need that help. That's really what it's about. And I was like so impressed with the way that he put that, because that's exactly what it is, right? And I think kind of life is kind of like that as well, right? If you're really going after it to get recognized, it's just not going to happen, right? And ultimately, it shouldn't be your goal either to like do something to get a reward. I remember when I was a kid, I would like do the dishes. So mom would tell me, oh, you did such a good job. And of course, nobody ever sees that, right?
So good. On your blog, there's a group photo, and I see Chris Cognetta in there. I see a whole bunch of familiar faces. Is this a user group? You're meeting in a bar somewhere, or what's
no, that? It was actually, we did a Dynamics 365 or Power Platform or whatever it was. It was back in February in Tampa. Beth Burrell was actually one of the organizing folks on that. So
I can see her there in the center, and Yeah, wow. A good bunch. It's kind of like meeting in person, seeing a photo like that. I'm like, oh man, imagine. I remember those days.
I know, right? And I really like the pictures so much. And like you said, everybody that's in there, I'm still in touch with all those guys, which is so great. Like I said, this community is just amazing. People staying in touch with each other and helping each other out, and it's amazing. So I was just, you know what, I want to get some of those pictures on there because, again, it's all part of the community, right? Including those pictures and those experiences. So
I love it. I love it. Good tips here. Okay, we're at time. So you ready for some quick fire questions?
sure.
Okay. They're going to be deep. They're going to be hard for you to answer. I don't know if they're just, let's see how we go. Okay, what do you do better than anyone else you know?
Burping.
Nice. I love it. I love it. If you met your hero, what question would you ask them?
I would tell them that I love their music. Actually happened to me when I met John Bon Jovi. So yeah.
Wow. So cool. So cool. It's funny. I don't know. Do you use TikTok at all?
I don't.
Okay, so I'm a heavy TikTok user, and what it's crazy is all these artists that I grew up with are now getting on TikTok, and
Really?
and they're sharing like stuff like, and because John Bon Jovi's been one of those that is on there, and like it's their family, their home life, all that type of stuff, just because of the nature of TikTok, and it's really different, like from.
What
from
you're
how you
used
grew
to,
up
right?
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. You're definitely getting a lens into their world, a lot different than what you would in the past.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about joining.
Nice. What's a daily ritual that you adhere to pretty religiously?
Coffee in the morning. First thing that
Nice.
I do. Yeah. And walk my dog.
If someone wanted to annoy you, what's the best way they could do that?
I don't really get annoyed that quickly, honestly. I just zone out when people do something annoying. I just focus on something else. maybe growing up with like 5 brothers and sisters helps with that, right?
Wow, you had a big family growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. We were all mixed. We had, I had a stepbrother, stepsister, full brother, half sister, and a half brother. So we had like a little bit of everything.
Wow. What do you think is the most damaging modern industry out there?
Oh my God, that's also very hard. And this is supposed to be quick fire. Oh gosh, I don't know.
That's all right. That's all right. Last question. Are you ready? What's your social media weakness?
I don't really have one because I am only on Facebook and I am on Twitter, but just for work because, and then like I said, I wouldn't even be on Facebook if I didn't have family in the Netherlands and all of my friends there. But I guess it would be Facebook then, right?
Yeah. But you use Twitter a bit, don't you?
I do, but just for business. Like I kind of feel like if people are like following me on Twitter, I'm really using it for my brand and to make sure that, if there's anything new about dynamics that other people are tweeting out, that it's just dynamics. Because sometimes I follow people and then they start to tweet about their home life. You get like one tweet about dynamics and then you have 10 about their home life. And then I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm really not interested. So that's kind of why I'm not using it that way. Yeah.
I'm just exploring stories on Instagram. I've done Instagram for years and done thousands of photos and then just stopped, just kind of got sick of it. And now I'm looking at Instagram stories. And once again, it's just because I feel it's a much more personal and it's for those that know me more than, just the general populace. So cool. Dion, now did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you did.
There you go. It's been good talking to you.
You too, Mark.
If anyone wants to, anything we've discussed, I'm going to provide all the links, etc. in the show notes. Thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Applications MVP Mark Smith, also known as the NZ365 Guy. Please like and subscribe in your favorite podcast player if you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to leave a review, go to nz365guy.com/review and you'll be provided all the options for your favorite either app or platform that you'd like to leave a review on. If you want to check out the existing reviews, that's where you'll find them also. See you next time.